TRT World.
The Turkish President, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has spoken to his Ukrainian and Russian counterparts and has called for an international investigation to establish what caused the damage to the...
Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am the West African correspondent, Edward Amaral. Welcome to this all-important news update. Breaking news on the continent, things that happen, current affairs program, things that the continent need to know about, especially about development, be good or bad. We trying as much as possible to ensure that we come to you with the latest development in the continent so that you can be adequately informed on the events that normally take place on the continent. We all know that Africa is a very important continent. Of course, we have to deal with series of events that actually may be determined about our being as African, events that have been shaping our history, even getting deep down into certain things that have affected about how we have been acting, about things that have been maybe shaping the way people react to things. As I speak, our continent is undergoing series of developmental changes, and those things are not almost always good, maybe in time of certain contribution. But Focus on Liberia uses this particular forum to ensure that we continue informing, we continue educating, and we also continue disseminating news. Help us in sharing the platform to all other forums and help us in popularizing our news forum. Focus on Liberia come to you with different news headlines on a daily basis. We do in as much as possible to ensure that we come to you news that matter. We come to you with things that the continent need and things that actually we can be able to maybe tell you about the continent movement in terms of positive or negative directions. So this evening I want to take this opportunity to welcome you. Let's start in Sudan. Sudan is a country located in East Africa or in the Horn of Africa. Since April, Sudan have been suffering from a series of political setbacks. The military is fighting against themselves. You are having the Rapid Support Forces, or known as the paramilitary, the former Janjaweed militia that we are actually heavily be supported by al-Bashir. Then you are also having al-Burhan. After the fall of al-Bashir in 2019, is now in police custody, in military custody. Those two parties are falling out and they are actually struggling on who to lead the country. The country's interim government that was led by Hamdok have been dismissed. The military, we are about to hand over power this year, but because of political mongering, power ambition, they have resulted into fighting. And that particular fighting is now affecting the economy of their neighbor, South Sudan, and they are definitely crying because South Sudan's main power hub is actually based in North Sudan, and they cannot successfully strive as an economy, as a country, as an independent state without having that particular economy set up. It is not affecting, and people are even afraid that the conflict has cost over $3.5 billion losses on the country's economy, and South Sudan is also having series of problems with what happens. And I am afraid, but I have to confess that South Sudan is also having some amount of political crisis, especially between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. And if their own crisis starts with the type of economic condition that is deteriorating and when they are facing the deepest part of their rainy season, I think it's a call for concern, and Africa need to throw a strong eye on it. South Africa throws out Zuma's case over alleged leak. Zuma actually accused President Jacob Zuma, former president of South Africa, who is being tried for corruption, building a condominium on his own. He's been accused of supporting the Gumta family, that popularly known as the state capture family, Indian family, into South Africa. They have corrupted the state economy for quite a long time. That Zuma is sacked over 3 of his 4 economic ministers, finance ministers, and other things. Unfortunately, Zuma has been accused of having corrupted South Africa, nepotism, tribalism, favoritism, sectionalism, and regionalisms. We are all being seen into him. His bias, he was being according to him, he's been accused of, he accused him perhaps of prejudice him. Now Zuma is actually facing some amount of huge political crisis. So we are now seeing this situation, and Zuma is facing some amount of political crisis. So what he's saying now, he actually laid a case against a private prosecutor, Downey, who is actually responsible for the leakage that he suffered. He is now saying that his privacy was being invaded, and the manner in which they prosecuted him, I think he's claiming that somebody investigated his privacy, and those papers were leaked, which are actually not constitutionally allowed into South Africa. However, the judge threw out the case on ground that Zuma right we are not violated, rather the journalist or the prosecutor, the state prosecutor and a private journalist violated the constitution of South Africa and that of press freedom, and he can be prosecuted on that background. But Zuma cannot use private thing to prosecute somebody on public affairs. So on that background, the judge actually threw out the case. Then we also go into Nigeria. Nigeria welcome Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka is a winger that plays for Arsenal. He's maybe one of the most performing players in this season's Premier League. He is 22. He was born in 2001 to Nigerian parents. But he's now playing for the England national team after he committed his loyalty to play for England, but he still maintained his loyalty to Kwara State. That is in Nigeria. He went there, the people celebrated him. That's saying that a lot of big people actually, or people of personality, great personality, actually hail from Kwara State, and they felt happy and elated because he actually visited his motherland or his parents' background, and that actually have been taken into huge euphoria, and he was actually happy over the visitation. And since then, I think Saka is definitely having a very good communication with these people, and people are praying and hoping that the communication should maintain, and maybe with a kind of inspirited person like him, football in Nigeria will definitely move. I normally say this, if they are not because of poverty, we have stars on the continent who are actually playing phenomenal football into Europe. Unfortunately, because of poverty and lack of political support for our football on the continent, most of our stars are actually leaving from the continent and playing for the European team. If you are not so the like of America, you think about France and maybe other European countries, they still have African players who have committed their future to work. Even in places like Germany, look at Antonio Rudiger, who plays for Germany, is a Sierra Leonean. You watch at the England team, most of those people are actually from Africa. Then you even watch at France team, most of them are from Africa. Unfortunately, we cannot blame these people because we lack political support, and players want to feel protected, and they want to have one or two things that may lead them to success on the continent in terms of football. Senegal says mobile phone internet has shut down, restored. After a series of the siege devastation is actually going on in Senegal. About 16 people are confirmed dead, over 200 injured, official report. But people are saying that it is actually more than that. Unfortunately, that is what they are claiming, that it is around, let me just say, 14 people actually dead. 16 dead, over 200 injured. That is what they are saying. But people are still thinking that the amount of people who lost their life are actually more than that. And internet was actually, especially cell phone internet, we are being shut down because they are claiming that with the availability of that, it may end up to create series of problems. Reason being, false information, infodemic will be disseminated on social media site, which may also continue to ignite violence as a mean for government to control the predictable violence after the arrest of Usman Sanko, who was prosecuted in court and sentenced to 2 years in prison in absentia. However, the opposition are claiming that it is a deliberate attempt for them to deprive or prevent him contesting an election against Makassar, whose term of office has actually expired, but he amended the constitution from 7 years to 5 years time and has the intention to contest. So that has been another state of issue which we have to watch and observe with keen eyes. So we also go back into Nigeria. Nigeria's state court working week to 3 days. The state in Nigeria actually have court working hours to 3 days, like Kwara State and Edo State, because of the fear crisis that is actually going on. They have a few amount of fear crisis since this fellow took over. Atiku Abubakar, Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over power. He said he's going to ensure that he cut down. Maybe he did not continue to subsidize it for fuel into Nigeria. Reason being, it was having huge toll on the economy, and those money that the government subsidized can easily be used to build bridges, pay school fees, improve on their health system and other infrastructure. That has resulted into fuel shortage into the country, and it has a spilling effect in Benin. So there is serious of fuel crisis into Nigeria, and some states like Edo State and Kwara State have cut down their working hours from days from 5 to 3, and they are also worried about the private sectors with workers also involved into working in 6 days, depending on Sunday or Saturday, depending on the region and also the religious state of those people. So Rwanda President Paul Kagame has actually sacked 200 of the top military people, with some among the top military officers, because of fear that there could be maybe intention of disloyalty, and most of them are actually been accused of having close link with the M23 rebels into Rwanda. So I think Paul Kagame is a bit afraid, so he has decided to reshuffle the military and to ensure that he have a very scintillated military, one that is committed to him. Mind you, in Rwanda suffered the Houthis and Tutsis crisis in 1994 that resulted into genocide. Since then, he has been on the helm of affairs, and he has managed actually to stabilize the country, and he stands to even be into elections from now to 2036, and there is a possibility that he will step down before then and ask a woman to lead. But people are still suspicious over his clandestine move. So Ghana police have actually been fined 8,800 pounds sterling or euro because of their failure to release information in respect of police brutality, violation of human rights, and whatsoever. The Ghanaian police is widely known of being one of the brutal forces on the continent, where freedom of speech are definitely not allowed. The police is being used to oppress and suppress people when it comes to them being vociferous or trying to fight for their right. So the human rights institution is actually acting that things like that should definitely stop. Then finally, Sierra Leone and Nigeria are elected to the 15 to the United Nations have 15 the Security Council actually have 50. The Security Council have 15 members or countries, and 5 of them are permanent, while 10 are non-permanent. So Sierra Leone and Algeria, including Mozambique, Slovenia, Republic of Korea, Guyana, others have been elected to the status of 10 non-permanent members on the Security Council. Their own status or their own regime will start on the 1st of December 2024 to the 1st of January 2024 to the 31st of December 2024, which include a period of 1 year. President Biyo have described the act to be a generational success and is a reward for the democracy, state of stability that Sierra Leone have enjoyed. He has praised everybody and to ensure that the appointment of them become a very success on everything that has been done. Thank you. It's been me, Edward Amara, focus on Liberia, West African correspondent, coming to you the latest development on the continent. Good night.